staring at him. As he worked on the engine, images of his little sister popped into his head. He could still remember very clearly coming home and seeing the cop cars and seeing the shock and fear on his little sister's face. She was his motivation. After some time, David had fixed a few of the basic problems and even some of the more advanced problems, but for some reason it still would not start, and he could not really figure out why. As his hand came up to his face to wipe the sweat off his head, he noticed that his hand was really dirty, like really dirty, to the point of it being a little bit strange. He looked at where his hand was laying on the engine, and he noticed that it was on something called the fuel filter. Then instantly he remembered a headline in his book called "Why a Clogged Fuel Filter Will Ruin Your Car." The filter is clogged. That's it. That's why it's not starting, David thought to himself. He frantically started to clean the filter, going as fast as he could. He could even feel a smile growing on his face while he was doing it, because he knew that once he did this, that the car would start. Every time that his heart would beat, the smile on his face became a little bigger and bigger. He was about to do the impossible. But then he heard it. The other mechanic's engine had started. The boss came out, shook the other mechanic's hand, and said, "Well done. Come into my office and let's have a chat. David, could you please clean everything up here?" In 5 short seconds, David's heart had shattered into pieces. As he started to clean everything up, tears filled his eyes. All the work he put in and all the pain that he went through was all for nothing. What am I going to do now? How am I going to provide for my sister? What about the rent and the heating? What am I going to do for the winter? Thoughts like this were racing through David's head. A few hours later, after the winning mechanic had signed the contract to work there, the boss called David into the office. "So, I looked at your engine. You almost had it, eh? You just didn't clean the fuel filter in time." "Yeah." Being fast is a really important trait as a mechanic. People want their cars fixed quickly. Yeah, I get that. You know, when you said you wanted to become the 4th mechanic here, I actually did a little bit of research into you, and I read what happened to you and your family in the newspaper, and I'm very sorry for what happened. David said nothing. "David, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to be really honest with me, okay?" Okay. "Did you lie to me when you said you knew how to fix cars?" David looked down for a moment. No." The boss just stared at him. "Yes, I lied." "Okay, so I'm guessing you lied to me because you really wanted the job because of the extra money in order to take care of yourself and your little sister. Is this true?" "Yes. So your solution was to just say you knew how to fix cars, and then luckily I gave you my book, and then you studied it, and then you came in here to compete against the real mechanics." "Yes." Wow, that is very bold of you, and really impressive that you actually managed to fix a car engine with little to no real experience. You must be a really fast learner. "Well, I was pretty familiar with all the car parts. I mean, I clean them all day, every day." "And you're modest. That is a really good trait." "Sir, with all due respect, why are we talking about this? I lost. I saw the other mechanic sign the contract to work here. What's there to talk about?" "Yes, you did technically lose, and there's no way I will hire a mechanic with little to no real experience." David looked down, his heart still in pieces. "But I'm actually here to offer you something different." David perked up. "I want you to be my assistant and work under me for a while. I have never seen someone learn about cars that fast before, so you must have some talent, and you certainly have the motivation to work hard due to your family situation, but you do need some guidance." Okay, what does this mean?" "Well, I definitely cannot pay you a full mechanic salary, but I will give you a raise to help take care of your home situation right now. Just the basics like food, heating, etc. And once you become an expert and a real mechanic, I'll start to pay you more. But there's one condition." "Okay, what is it?" "You can never lie to me again about anything. The only reason why I'm making an exception for your past lie is because I know you just wanted to take care of your family, and I understand that. So, do we have a deal?" "Yes, I will never lie again. I'll be the hardest worker. I'll do anything you want me to do." "Okay, great. Well, show up every day at 6 a.m. and be ready to work really hard." And from that point on, David became obsessed with cars. Whenever he was not taking care of his sister, he would be reading books about cars. He would talk to other mechanics, go to car conventions. This was the thing that gave him and his little sister a real shot at life. After 6 months, David had become one of the head mechanics at the shop, outperforming all the senior mechanics. Then fast forward another 6 months and he had become one of the most skilled mechanics in the city because he was so desperate and eager to learn more and more that nobody could keep up with him. In 1519, there was a man named Hernan Cortez who set out on a mission to take over an island with 500 of his men. When they got to the island, they faced other people who did not want them to be there. Cortez then ordered his men to burn the boats that they came in on, so there was no option to retreat. The only options were either to live or to die. Oftentimes, when it comes down to life or death situations, people discover an inner drive and new skills that they never knew they had. David was forced into a situation where he had to either sink or swim. He had to figure out a way to either provide for his family or to be homeless and hungry, which is pretty much like life or death. If you are watching this video and you have an inclination to start your own business or to have a certain type of body, you might have to implement this burn the boats concept. Burning the boats for you could be quitting your job, then figuring out a way to pay your bills on your own, or maybe it's moving out of your parents' house and then refusing to take financial assistance from your parents or your friends. Maybe it's giving your friend $5,000 and then saying to him, if I don't have a six-pack in 8 months, you can keep the money. Doing this will force you to figure out a way to become successful because failure is no longer an option. This strategy is not for everybody though, and you certainly need to set realistic goals and you need to be careful, but some people need to do this in order to succeed.